is The Furnace with John Burton.
All right, so I was in another one of my fun little discussions on the Facebook about tipping and should we tip and should we not tip, or when should we tip, or how much should we tip. And I wrote an article that Charisma magazine published, and I deal with this and I talk about 3 specific spirits that might be behind bad tipping. And by the way, I want to start this off by addressing something that I think is hilarious. There's a certain type of person out there that gets really bent out of shape when spirits are mentioned, and they make fun of people mentioning a spirit of Jezebel or a spirit of Absalom or whatever. And yes, number one, I do believe that there can be demonic spirits or demonic strategies behind behaviors and mindsets. I do believe that. But I really like to think of this idea of a spirit being behind something in a more day-to-day kind of approach. It's like the spirit of a champion. You've all heard that. And so we hear people talking about, they'll say that guy has the spirit of a champion, and we're not like, whoa, wait a minute. I don't see anywhere in the Bible where there is a demonic spirit or a whatever spirit named champion. There's no spirit named champion in the Bible. Heretic! You're a heretic! That's ridiculous. And so it's the same idea where we might say someone has a spirit of poverty, which I'm going to actually deal with today a little bit. And there's demonic strategies that try to impact our behaviors and our mindsets and try to get us to adopt poverty. But I think we can also really kind of, in a more general sense, someone has a spirit of poverty, it means that they are just embracing this idea of poverty, or they are embodying poverty, just like the spirit of a champion. You see it in them. You see that champion demeanor in them. Well, you can see a poverty demeanor in some people. And so that's kind of what we're talking about today. But specifically regarding tipping, I'll start by saying this. It is my very simple belief that when somebody is serving us, it could be a server at a restaurant. In fact, I'm about to go coach axe throwing. I own an axe throwing business here in Branson, Missouri. And my staff, they're all going back to college. How dare them? And they're leaving these slots unattended, and so I've got to go in and cover for these guys. And so just having fun, of course. It's great that they're going back to school, but I've got to go coach axe throwing. And so I love it when my staff are tipped when they are coaching these axe throwing sessions. I enjoy being tipped. Who doesn't? But it's hard. It's hard work. To just give it your all nonstop. For me, it'll be about 4 hours, 5 hours in a row of axe throwing and engaging people and making sure they have an amazing time and that they have a blast and that they know how to throw an axe and get it to stick in the wood, and on and on and on. And will I have the same sort of passion and commitment if I don't get tipped? Of course, absolutely, without question, because I'm excited about them having a good time. That's my heart. I want to see them have a good time. My heart also is to see my staff tipped well. I love to see that happen. But again, it's the heart. And so when we're sitting at the table and a server is waiting on us, our demeanor as people sitting at that table should not be looking at them with a glaring eye, demanding that we are served well. Because if we're not, you better believe we're going to stick it to you. We're going to teach you a lesson. Bad server. You're a bad server. You need to serve me better. I am important. I'm paying good money to eat this food. I am gracing you with my presence. How dare you not fill my soda fast enough? Do you have any idea who I am? And it's ridiculous. So the idea is, we as people sitting at the table need to turn the tables. Instead of expecting to be served, we need to serve. How about we serve? We serve. We give. We make sure that the server is well taken care of. We make sure that their job is as easy as possible. We make sure if they're having a bad day, that they have a better day. We make sure that if they have a bad attitude, that we give them a reason to smile, right? And we're not their boss. You know, if it's a cook, if it's the cook in the kitchen who does something bad, what are you going to do? You're not going to try to hurt them. You're not going to try to teach them a lesson. You're not going to try to stick it to them. You're not going to do that. Why the server? Okay? We need to think about this. So, so what do we do? I mean, of course, there's some things that we can do. We might talk to the manager. We may want to get our meal comped or whatever. There's things that we can do. But hopefully we're not going to try to stick it to them. We're not going to try to be mean. We're not going to try to, we're not going to be all nasty. We're not going to be all, we're supposed to be like, what, Christ-like? And so it's not our job to try to teach him how to cook. It's not our job to bring discipline. It's not our job. It's not our job to teach them how to do better. It's not our job to penalize the cook. It's not our job to do that. It's not our job. Especially as Christians, our job is to bless, is to encourage, to pray. See, but for some reason, with servers or those who are working for tips, suddenly we think it's our job. Suddenly, we think that we now have been put into a position where we can be punitive, where we are suddenly cracking the whip, and if they don't jump as high as we say, and they don't jump through the hoops that we put out for them, then we are going to send them through a disciplinary process, meaning we're not going to give them a tip. And oh, by the way, think about this. I believe in a lot of situations, people that are trying to be punitive by not tipping are just wildly disingenuous. I'm convinced. Why? Because somebody else's, when somebody else doesn't live up to your standards, guess who benefits? You do. Because you benefit financially. Because now you get to have the money in your pocket instead of the person that is serving you. So it's wildly disingenuous. It's a flawed system and it's really more retribution and retaliation than anything. So again, of course, I'm a proponent that we always tip, and we tip generously, and we tip very well, and we go above and beyond all the time, without exception. But what are these three spirits? I know I started off talking about that, and you can go and get that article, search charisma for it. The three spirits: poverty, entitlement, and offense. Poverty, entitlement, and offense. So there are a lot of people out there, a whole bunch of you guys, where you just have a habit of not tipping, and where you just don't do it. You've got some crazy principle, and I know some of y'all got this goofy idea that y'all shouldn't be tipping because it's the ownership's responsibility to cover the server's tips. That's kind of your mindset. It's crazy. And even if you're right, let's pretend you're right, which you're not. Let's pretend you're right. Well, we don't live in that world. That's not the world we live in. It's not how it works. You may want it to work that way. That's fine. You can propose a change, but guess what? It doesn't currently work that way. And that change has not come. We're not in that system. That's not where we are. So a refusal to tip based on that principle is a pretty loser thing to do. And could businesses start covering the tips? They sure could, and they would just raise prices a lot, a ton, 20% at least. So, okay, but you gotta remember these servers are making like $2 an hour or whatever it is nowadays, and they don't get tip. They're basically paying to be there. So, but back to this, the poverty thing. Some of you just don't tip, and I've heard people argue this, boy, and I'm thinking you can't seriously be arguing this. Do you have any idea how bad you sound right now? And they argue this, that if I can afford to go to a restaurant and I got enough money to eat the meal and I don't have enough money to leave a tip, that's fine. I can go do that. I have plenty of money. I have the money that I need to cover that sandwich and that salad and that drink, but I don't have any extra money to leave a tip. Okay, first of all, I agree with what so many others would say is that you can't afford to eat out if you can't afford to tip. That's nonsense. But let's leave the tip out of it. If you are down to your last $5 or $2 or $10 or whatever that tip amounts to, you shouldn't be eating out or doing almost anything. It's crazy. I mean, if you can't, you should have way more money than you need to tip if you're at the point where you think you're financially solid enough to go ahead and go out to eat. And a lot of people that are in poverty, they spend their money so foolishly, and they're buying pizzas and they're going out 3 times a week, and you can't afford it. Not just because of the tipping thing, just because you can't afford it. Be wise. You are not at that level yet where you can go out to eat like other people do. That's just life. Some people are not at the level where they can buy the BMW. Some people aren't at the level where they can buy the sedan. Some people aren't at the level where they can buy a new car. They got to buy a used car. Some people aren't at that place where they can buy a new pair of shoes. Or an expensive pair of shoes. They got to go to Walmart and get a cheap pair of shoes. I mean, that's financial reality. It's how we live. So if you can't afford to tip, not only can you not afford to go out to eat, you really can't afford to go out to eat. Really can't afford to go out to eat. That's not even close. Get several $1,000s in the bank or whatever before you think of going out for lunch. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, I know sometimes we have to go out to eat just because we have to, just because whatever, but you understand my point. Don't make a habit of going out to eat and when you just can't afford it. So a poverty mindset will keep people from tipping. Then you've got that spirit of entitlement. And this is I've been kind of hounding on this the whole podcast. So you've got this spirit of entitlement thing where you're setting yourself up as the one who is owed. You are owed something. And and sure, you're paying money for a meal, so you should get your meal. If you don't get your meal, talk to a manager, and hopefully they'll get you the meal, or they'll comp you the meal, or whatever. So I'm not saying you don't ever stand for what is right. I mean, if you're paying money, yeah. I mean, there's times Amy and I, maybe we've contested something on a credit card or whatever, I don't know, because it's like, listen, we didn't get what we signed up for. So I'm not saying that you're a doormat. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying you do it with integrity. But specifically regarding tipping, people have this spirit of entitlement where they're just sitting there and they're keeping score. And they're like, I am expecting you. You are here to serve me. I'm expecting you to do this and to do that and to smile and to be here and by golly, you better not give more attention to that other table over there. No, sir. You better pay attention to me. I am keeping score. I'm keeping track. You're losing a percentage point every time you screw up. And that's the mindset. People who have that spirit of entitlement, they just think that they're owed. They think everybody owes them something. They think the government owes them something. Their boss at work owes them something. Church owes them something. On and on and on and on and on. And it's madness. Stop it. And so you got that whole spirit of entitlement thing. Then you got that spirit of offense, where it's like, I was wronged. I can't believe it. They treated me wrong. They're wrong and I'm right. I'm offended. You better believe that they were wrong and I was right. I'll argue it to the day I hit the grave. And by the way, you live like that, you hit the grave a lot quicker than most people. You get that nasty spirit going on. It's not healthy for you. But you got that mean-spirited offense thing going on where you are so important and people better treat you right. And then you live offended, mad, and angry, and pointing the finger and gossiping and talking about them and tearing them down, keeping their $5 bill in your pocket. Teach them a lesson. Why? Because you were treated bad. Yeah. Show them something. Better believe it. No one treat me that way. No way. Right? And so you got that thing going on. Spoiled little brat. You got offended because your drink didn't get filled up fast enough. Poor little guy, poor little girl. Got offended because they didn't take care of you fast enough, didn't bring you out your salad in time. You see how stupid this sounds? How absolutely stupid, selfish, childish, ridiculous, and unchristlike this sounds? Dig into your stinking pocket, grab out the largest bill you can find, and if it's at least 20%, slap it on the table and bless them. If we can't, if the Bible calls us to bless those who curse us, bless those. I'm talking, do you have any idea what that means? Have you ever been truly cursed? Have you ever had witchcraft curses hurled your way? I know some of you pastors out there have. Have you ever had it where people are speaking death against you, where they want you to die, where they hate you, where they despise you? Have you ever had it where someone they're stealing from you, they're attacking you, they're assaulting you, they're gossiping about you? Those people, guess what? Those wicked people, the Bible says that we bless them. We heap blessings on them. Bless them. But somebody who doesn't smile at us, who doesn't fill our Dr. Pepper fast enough, somehow we don't bless them. Y'all are crazy, and you just don't know the heart of God if that's true. Come on, people. So there you have it. Wasn't that fun? Come on, you can break out of this horrible, self-centered approach toward tipping. You can do it. I know you can. What do you think about this? Go ahead. Let the flamers flame and the trolls do what trolls do. Bring it on. Let's have some discussion. What are your comments? What do you think? These podcasts are landing in a lot of different places. You'd be like, wait, where do I comment? I'm listening on Spotify. Well, you can't do it there. You got to go to my Facebook. You got to friend me on Facebook. And I'll probably put this podcast in that tipping article, not on Charisma, but on my own website at burton.tv. You can go there, leave comments right there on the article. But I would love to hear what you have to say, because this could be a really fun conversation. All right? Leave a comment. I'm waiting for you. Go tip a waiter. Go tip a server. Hey, go tip an axe throwing coach. That's a great idea. All right. See you later. Bye.
Thank you for listening to The Furnace with John Burton. You can access media, read articles, and partner with the ministry online at burton.tv. And by all means, share this podcast with those who are hungry for revival, reformation, and revolution.